item of business is members' business debate on motion 19741 in the name of Tom Arthur on St Andrew's Day. And this debate will be concluded without any questions being put. Would those who wish to speak in the debate please press the request to speak buttons, and I call on Tom Arthur to open the debate for around 7 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. I'd like to begin by thanking all those members who signed my motion to enable this debate to take place, and to thank in advance everyone who will be contributing this afternoon. And of course, I bring this debate to the Chamber in recognition of St Andrew's Day on the 30th of November, on Saturday. As the convener of the St Andrew's Day cross-party group, I think it is very important that we take this time as politicians on to reflect what St Andrew's Day means, and more widely, what being Scottish means to us in all senses of the term. It is my normal practice in debates, Presiding Officer, to generally speak from a few notes or bullet points, and perhaps often from speaking later, reflect on the comments that other members have made. However, I've taken a slightly different approach. I have the privilege of having a young man named Kyle from the United States who's interning for me as part of a university programme, as I know many other members are. So I was keen to get a sense of what Kyle's reflections would be of St Andrew's Day from the United States, and as someone over here visiting Scotland. So much of what I say has been prepared in conjunction with Kyle, and is informed by some of his reflections and understandings of St Andrew's Day. So St Andrew's Day, as many know, is a day to celebrate the patron saint of Scotland, for which the holiday derives its name. According to Catholic teachings, or Christian teachings more generally, St Andrew was born in Bethesda on the Sea of Galilee and served as one of Jesus' 12 disciples, along with his brother Simon Peter. Little is known about the life of St Andrew, but it is believed that he died while being bound to an X-shaped cross in Patras, Greece, which was the inspiration behind our beloved flag. It is unclear how St Andrew became our patron saint, as he never stepped foot in Scotland, but of course there are many different stories and traditions. Some sources say that King Angus in the 9th century had a dream about the aforementioned X-shaped cross before a battle with England. However, he vowed that if he ever won against the English in this particular battle, he would anoint St Andrew as Scotland's patron saint. As fortune had it, King Angus won, and the rest is history. Beyond the distinctly scriptural definition of this holiday, St Andrew's Day is celebration of what it means to be Scottish. Now, as it's been suggested to me, to many around the world, Scotland is symbolised by magnificent bens covered in powdery snow, Highland cows with majestic manes, expansive lochs that may or may not contain certain mythical creatures, whisky that warms the soul, and, as Kyle put it, kilted men on street corners playing bagpipes with varying levels of success. In recent years, Scotland is also associated with a certain wizard with a scar of a lightning bolt upon his forehead, who learns his craft at a school set in the Scottish Highlands. However, it was interesting what Kyle reflected here. To be truly Scottish, however, one must embrace the unique spirit of Scotland. He says, I think anyone who visits Scotland will quickly be struck by the compassion of the Scottish people, the kindness that is just built into Scottish society, helping others when they are in need, even if we ourselves are down on our luck. To be Scottish also means to be inclusive of others. If the makeup of this Parliament isn't proof enough, with 5 different party leaders representing the different viewpoints of the Scottish people, Kyle said, I don't know what is. And he notes furthermore that it was not long ago when nearly all of the parties were led by women in this chamber, and where half of the party leaders were members of the LGBT community, suggesting that this is unheard of anywhere else, and something that we can be very proud of, Presiding Officer. It is in this spirit that St Andrew's Day fittingly coincides with Fair Saturday. Now, Fair Saturday, for those who aren't aware, is to some extent the polar opposite of Black Friday, which takes place tomorrow. Black Friday marks the peak of consumerism, with people around the world capitalising on sharp discounts to mark the start of the Christmas season. To counteract this rush of consumerism, Fair Saturday is a worldwide movement to give to charity by participating in a variety of community and cultural activities. And I am delighted to see that 32 communities around Scotland are participating in Fair Saturday across all our local authorities. And some of the many events around Scotland include plays, arts and crafts, film screenings, live music, and of course, local St Andrew's Day festivals. In support of Fair Saturday, Presiding Officer, I'd like to take a few moments to highlight some of the events happening in my constituency of Renfrewshire South. The first I'd like to highlight is the Office Scottish Winter Wonderland in Barrhead. This annual event features live Christmas music, pony rides, the Santa Express train, a fireworks displays, and opportunities to take pictures with Santa himself. Entrance to the event is free of charge, but there is a small donation request to have photos taken with Santa, and all of those proceeds go towards making Christmas dinner parks for families who are less fortunate in East Renfrewshire. Second event I'd like to mention is Johnston's Christmas Light Switch On. During this event, there will be a host of local bands playing on the centre stage. At 5 p.m, the music will stop for the lighting of the Christmas tree, followed by more Christmas-related events. And all of the proceeds from this event go to St Vincent's Hospice and Active Communities, an organisation that promotes physical activity and well-being across Renfrewshire. Excellent examples of people coming together in celebration of St Andrew's Day and Fair Saturday to benefit the local communities. The last point I wish to make, Presiding Officer, is further in this sort of genuine international spirit of St Andrew's Day, because it is not something, of course, that's just limited to Scotland. As Kyle notes, organisations around the world are preserving and celebrating their Scottish heritage. One such place that displays exceptional Scottish spirit is in the state of Maine in the US, the home of Kyle. Now, his hometown is, and I am being trained in how to pronounce this correctly, but I will probably still get it wrong, is Bangor, not Bangor, Bangor. And Bangor in Maine is home to the Anna Highlanders, a pipe band that plays to raise money for the Anna Shriners Children's Hospital, which treats children that need specialised care such as those with cleft palate, cerebral palsy and spina bifida. Additionally, Maine is home to St Andrew Society, which hosts events such as the annual Highland Games and the Robert Burns Dinner to raise money for their scholarship fund, awarded to students studying subjects related to Scottish culture and heritage. In conclusion, Presiding Officer, I would like to thank Kyle for his contribution in helping me to prepare these remarks. I think it's very illustrative of the international aspect of St Andrew's Day, that when two individuals from different parts of the world can meet and within a few hours of discussion suddenly discover all these connections through St Andrew's Day, it does symbolise the way in which St Andrew's unifies not just the Scottish diaspora, but can bind people from across the world together in those shared values. And I very much look forward to hearing other members' contributions throughout this debate, and I'd also encourage all members to engage in their local communities over the weekend to celebrate Fair Saturday and St Andrew's Day. Thank you.
We'll move now to the open debate. And speeches of 4 minutes, please. Alistair Allen, followed by Bill Bowman.
Presiding Officer, there are many strong arguments why countries should celebrate their national days. Community cohesion, the celebration of diversity, the promotion of cultural heritage, and the chance to turn a friendly face to the wider world. So can I congratulate Tom Arthur for bringing this motion before us today, and thanks also to the efforts of a number of dedicated people, not least Dennis Canavan, I should mention, who have campaigned tirelessly to see St Andrew's Day celebrated more and more. It is only fair to observe that looking at many other countries' national days, that we do still have some way to go in Scotland to catch up. Ireland, of course, celebrates St Patrick's Day on a scale that rivals any other country's national day for its sheer international reach. Norway celebrates Constitution Day on a huge scale every year, involving probably every child in Norway in enormous parades, not least in Oslo, where the streets outside the Royal Palace become a huge sea of Norwegian flags and national costumes. And of course, the many countries around the world which have declared their independence from the UK all very understandably celebrate this fact in some style, taking their lead from the USA, who mark each 4th of July with fireworks, barbecues, parades and picnics. Meanwhile, India, interestingly, celebrates both an Independence Day and a Republic Day with, among other things, public kite battles. So why does comparatively little of this stuff happen in Scotland on our National Day, although there have been many improvements, as other speakers I'm sure will mention? Well, the historic answer to that question is to say that at the time of the Reformation, All Saints' Days, as well as Christmas and Easter, were disestablished by the state, in fact by this Parliament. Hence the Scots' preference thereafter for other festivals like Hogmanay. Christmas only became a public holiday again in Scotland in 1958. And since then, however, it has slightly overshadowed most of the winter, including St Andrew's Day. But all of that said, interest in St Andrew's Day continues to grow. And perhaps the lack of any obvious traditions around the day is both an obstacle, but perhaps also an opportunity for us. It gives us the chance to do new things to celebrate the day. For instance, the Scottish Government has promoted a social media campaign entitled One Kind Act, with a presence on Instagram and Twitter. And this encourages people to post pictures of acts of kindness. In a similar vein, the Government is also, as we've heard, partnering with Fair Saturday, a non-profit making organisation that focuses on supporting artists and cultural organisations to mark the St Andrews weekend. And doing so in a way that provides, as Tom Arthur also mentioned, an interesting contrast with Black Friday and the ethos that it perhaps has come to represent. So there is much now happening in Scotland to mark St Andrew's Night, as well as, of course, the St Andrew's Night dinners around other parts of the world. There are still obstacles to overcome, it must be said, not least the fact that we do really need to agree a single day each year when there will be a public holiday celebrated, and in what form. I remember running up against the Yes Minister-like reality when I was the relevant minister in this area, the Yes Minister-like reality that probably declaring a public holiday would require primary legislation, possibly from Westminster. Perhaps the current minister can offer a take on that, and whether I'm wrong or not. There must be things that we can do meanwhile, at least, to ensure that we to celebrate more. And I conclude, as I began, by saying that there are many arguments that can be made for national days. Ultimately, however, a national festival should be about having fun and celebrating Scotland. And for everyone who wants to do that, St Andrew's Day is a very good idea. So, last on the leave, Andrewsguive, no the hike.
Bill Bowman, followed by Emma Harper.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. I thank Tom Arthur, with Kyle's help, for bringing this debate to the Parliament. St Andrew's Day is the feast day of St Andrew, Scotland's official national day, and is celebrated on November the 30th. In 2006, the Scottish Parliament passed the St Andrew's Day Bank Holiday Scotland Act 2007, which designated the day as an official bank holiday. I believe relics of St Andrew were on display in the Parliament 1 year ago in an event sponsored by Elaine Smith, MSP. While St Andrew is generally revered in Scotland from around 1000 AD, he did not become the official patron saint until the signing of the Declaration of Arbroath in 1320. And it wasn't until the 18th century that popular celebration of his day became commonplace. Since then, St Andrew has become involved in so much of Scotland's culture. For example, the flag of Scotland, the St Andrew's Cross, was chosen in honour of him, and I've managed to find my tie today with the saltire on it. Despite all the history surrounding St Andrew's Day is not as well known as festivals such as St Patrick's Day in Ireland, as we've already heard, even although it is believed that the celebration of St Andrew as a national festival stretches back to some point in the 11th century during the reign of Malcolm III. However, despite it not being as famous as other festivals, it is not only a national holiday in Scotland. St Andrew is also the patron saint of Cyprus, Greece, Romania, Russia, Ukraine, Tenerife and Barbados. There may be others. Having lived and worked in Romania for 10 years, I thought I would touch upon how St Andrew's Day is celebrated not only here at home, but also worldwide, with a particular focus on some of the celebrations and customs in Romania. The story of St Andrew in Romania tells us that Romania was Christianized by St Andrew in the 1st century AD, and this is accepted by both the Romanian Orthodox Church and the Romanian state, with St Andrew named as the patron saint of Romania. There are various activities that people engage in as a way of celebrating old Romanian beliefs associated with the feast of St. Andrew. These include bringing out garlic to ward off ghosts and eating salty bread in the hope of dreaming of the person they will marry. Well, there's a tip. Interestingly, given that some wish to see wolves reintroduced into Scotland, in Romania, St. Andrew is invoked to ward off wolves on St. Andrew's Day. On this day, wolves are thought to be able to eat any animal they want to, and they're able to speak to humans. The belief is that a human hearing a wolf speak to him will die, and so they invoke St. Andrew to protect themselves from this, so you have been warned. Finally, I want to touch on St. Andrew's Day Fair Saturday, which is Scotland's contribution to the global celebration of Fair Saturday. This is a global mobilisation that aims to create a positive social impact following Black Friday, that great expression of consumerism. Artists and cultural organisations from all across Scotland and all around the world will get together in a global festival following just one requirement: to support a social cause of their choice close to their heart and the wider celebration of St. Andrew's Day through their show. There are events being held across the northeast of Scotland in my region, in both Aberdeen and Dundee, amongst other places, which include Céilís, cathedral services, as well as a concert in Dundee where the decks of HMS Unicorn will be filled with lively traditional tunes from Shetland, mainland Scotland and Ireland. So, Presiding Officer, to conclude, St. Andrew's Day is a very important day both in Scotland and globally. And while many people may not be aware of St. Andrew's wider connections out with Scotland, it is clear that he was and continues to be an important figure, especially at this time of year. It is also encouraging to see that other celebrations and events are emerging as a result of St. Andrew's Day, and in particular for me as a North East Region MSP, encouraging to see places like Dundee and Aberdeen getting involved. Thank you.
Emma Harper, followed by Claire Baker.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. First of all, congratulations must go to Tom Arthur for bringing this debate to Chamber today, and of course Tom's intern Kyle for his research and contribution. It is great that St Andrew's Day, the 30th of November, marks the start of the winter festivals for the programmes in Scotland and the links created with the Fair Saturday movement. I'd like to focus my time on two issues: the purpose of Fair Saturday and St Andrew's Fair Saturday as one, and the Big Burns Supper Festival in Dumfries. Presiding Officer, in preparing for this debate, following reading Mr Arthur's motion, I followed up on the information described about the Fair Saturday movement. And Fair Saturday is a positive initiative, independent, apolitical and respectful of human rights. It aims to create a global cultural movement with a positive impact on society. And it is an opportunity for artists and cultural organisations and communities to come together in a unique festival and support social causes. South Ayrshire Council in my South Scotland region have a St Andrew's Fair Saturday event at the Citadel Leisure Centre, where the fun swimming pool will be opened. And there's also community engagement events organised across South Ayrshire Council region to help tackle isolation and loneliness. And I'm also encouraging Dumfries and Galloway Council to promote the St Andrew's Fair Saturday events next year, as I have written to D&G Council to raise awareness of the Scottish Government's St Andrew's Day Fair Saturday initiative. And I am aware, though, there are other local activities planned by Dumfries and Galloway Multicultural Association and the Mool charity, which is massive outpouring of love. I wish them both well this Saturday. And also, I would like to briefly mention the Lamb for St Andrews campaign, which is promoted by Quality Meat Scotland. I would encourage everybody to eat lamb on Saturday because it's good for you. So Quality Meat Scotland should be commended for that campaign. Mr Arthur's motion describes the events and festivals in his constituency, and I'm intrigued by the Offie Scottish Winter Wonderland, and I'm sure Tom Arthur will be able to regale me with more detail later. Presiding Officer, turning to the Big Burns Supper Festival. The Big Burns Supper Festival in Dumfries is held in January as part of the celebrations of the 25th of January, the birth date of Scotland's national bard Robert Burns. The Big Burns Supper Winter Festival is now known as Scotland's biggest Burns Night party and the warmest winter festival set in the historic, vibrant South Scotland capital. Every year, the family-friendly event, which is now in its 9th year, will welcome 150 shows, 300 artists and over 11 performance days. Various venues include bars, cafes, art galleries, museums and the oldest working theatre in Scotland, refurbished last year with Scottish Government support. That's the Theatre Royal. The famous Spiegel Tent is another wonderful place which has become the host venue for many live acts and is also where the international burlesque cabaret show Le Haggis will be performed. Ellisland Farm, located just outside Dumfries, is the farm where Robert Burns lived before moving to Dumfries. And that's the farm where he wrote his most famous poem, Tam O'Shanter. And I'm glad to say it has now joined the Big Burns Supper as a host venue site. The funding for the Fair Saturday, the Scottish Government's programme, is through Event Scotland and the Hollywood Trust. And the Big Burns Supper Festival also gets support from Carlisle City and Dumfries and Galway councils. So thank you to all the supporters for enabling this festival. Next year is its 10th year, and so that will be an exciting event to attend, and perhaps the Minister would come and join me at Le Haggis next year. So in conclusion, Presiding Officer, I again want to welcome this debate, thank Tom Arthur and Kyle, and encourage all to take part in St Andrew's Fair Saturday.
The last of the open debate contributions is from Claire Baker.
Thank you, Presiding Officer, and thank you to Tom Arthur for securing today's debate. I have appreciated listening to the history of St Andrew's Day from other members and Robert Burns as well, but today it more typically marks the start of Scotland's winter festivals and all the related seasonal celebrations. But it also provides an opportunity to step back from the festival preparations, to take a break from the buying and the planning, and to think more about the celebration of our culture. A modern part of St Andrew's Day is Fair Saturday, which seeks to create a positive social aspect by bringing people together in a way which can contrast with much of the commerciality which is part of the festive season. Black Friday, once little known outside of the US, has quickly become an event here in the UK which lasts for days, if not weeks. It can provide an opportunity to pick up a pre-Christmas bargain, although which are publishing evidence this week that exposes some of the false bargains for what they really are. I have been, like other people, inundated with emails and adverts encouraging me to spend even more at this time of year. When we get these Black Friday deals, we should remember how these kind of deals work and the potential impacts they have on workers and for smaller businesses. Many businesses and smaller producers are unable to compete with the large brand offers, perhaps because they are struggling to keep prices low while maintaining fair wages, or perhaps due to quality production methods having higher costs attached. I would encourage members to think about smaller producers, ethical businesses, fair traders and local enterprises tomorrow, and what they have to offer in terms of quality produce at a fair price. So this weekend, thousands of artists and cultural organisations across the world will celebrate Fair Saturday. I am pleased that a number of events are taking place across my region, including many at libraries in Fife, such as art exhibitions, family fun days and creative mindfulness colouring. At each library, food donation areas will be set up for local food bank charities. In St Andrews itself, there will be particular celebrations, including storytelling and craft sessions, an international ceilidh and the Big Torch Parade, music and fireworks as part of the Big Hoolie. As in previous years, Historic Environment Scotland are providing thousands of free tickets to visit abbeys, palaces, castles and cathedrals over the weekend, letting people across the country access historic buildings and learn about their history and culture. It's a great opportunity to get inside some of Scotland's great attractions, including Stirling Castle, Doon Castle, Dunfermline Abbey and Palace, Aberdare Castle and Castle Campbell, all within my region. As part of St Andrew's Day Fair Saturday, all over Scotland events and activities will bring together people to celebrate sharing, fairness and social inclusion. It is an opportunity for us to celebrate the culture of Scotland and to promote inclusivity and compassion. It is a day to show Scotland as a welcoming and open place to live and work. The briefing for this debate from BMIS is a welcome reminder of how St Andrew's Day does and should reflect the increasingly ethnic and cultural diversity of our communities, with local multicultural celebrations taking place across Scotland. Such events are an important opportunity to celebrate community cohesion and collaboration in an atmosphere of respect and solidarity. St Andrew's Day is a day where we can also reaffirm our opposition to racism in all its forms and celebrate the racial and ethnic diversity of Scotland. The annual STUC St Andrew's Day March and Rally Against Racism will take place on Saturday at Glasgow Green, an important event in terms of demonstrating the diversity and inclusivity that is vital to Scotland. So St Andrew's Day is a day of national celebration. It provides a chance for us to enjoy our cultural heritage and to encourage the diversity of Scotland and the positive relationships that exist across our communities. It is a reminder of the importance of promoting tolerance and dispelling ignorance, of bringing people together and appreciating all of the aspects which make Scotland the vibrant and welcoming country that it is. Thank you.
Now call Ben McPherson to respond to the debate for around 7 minutes. Please, Minister.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. And as Minister for Europe, Migration and International Development, I am delighted that my portfolio also includes the celebration of Scotland's winter festivals, including, of course, St Andrew's Day. And it's great to have this opportunity, thanks to Tom Arthur and all other members who've supported his motion, to debate the importance of St Andrew's Day in Parliament this afternoon. And I would also like to thank the members of the cross-party group at this point too, as well as all members for such positive and enlightening contributions today. Boosted by a funding contribution of £400,000 from the Scottish Government, the most obvious aim of the winter festivals is to boost Scotland's dynamic tourism and event sectors. But what's more important is that it's not all about finance, in fact, quite the opposite, because the winter festivals are about so much more. Our winter festivals are positively and purposefully entangled and entwined with boosting Scotland's international profile, enhancing our collective confidence, and affirming and promoting our shared values of fairness, kindness, inclusivity, and internationalism. And this is what St Andrew's Fair Saturday is all about, galvanising the people of Scotland and those with an affinity to Scotland all around the world to celebrate and affirm together the diverse, compassionate and outward-looking society that we have in Scotland and we are always seeking to strengthen and build. And reflecting the progressive and compassionate spirit of the Fair Saturday movement, the common thread that connects all of our St Andrew's Day celebrations, again this year, is a focus on encouraging Scots from far and wide to support others by engaging in small acts of kindness, as Alistair Allen highlighted. Whether it's helping a relative, friend, neighbour or stranger, or showcasing compassion where it's needed. Whether it's contributing to a local cause or an international charity, or inviting friends and partners to mark the occasion together, as we are this afternoon. Throughout Scotland, on the 30th of November, the Scottish Government is encouraging everyone to engage in St Andrew's Fair Saturday through one kind act. The aim of all of this is not only to make a difference, but also to make Scotland's celebration of St Andrew's Day something unique. By keeping local communities at the very heart of the activities, by reflecting our core values and global reputation for championing social justice, by expressing the importance we place on the vital and integral role of our young people in our society, and by working together to strengthen the inclusive nature of the modern Scottish identity. Supported by funding from the Scottish Government and reflecting those shared values, there are a number of strands to our activity on St Andrew's Day and those of our partners in support of the wider celebration. The events programme for St Andrew's Fair Saturday showcases 115 events led by 65 organisations supporting 90 different charities in 33 cities, towns and other places right across the country, from Fife, as Claire Baker mentioned, to Dundee in the northeast, as Bill Bowman mentioned, to Barrhead, as Tom Arthur mentioned, all across Scotland. There are really excellent events going on, and I encourage everyone to get involved. Also, delivered by Bemis Scotland, I'm delighted that the multicultural celebration of St Andrew's Day is also going from strength to strength. This year, we welcome 22 events marking St Andrew's Day across the country with our multicultural communities. And on Saturday, the St Andrew's Day debating tournament, led by the English-speaking Union Scotland, will take place here in this Parliament, and many young people will debate the future of Scotland together here in our Parliament again. And what makes these events so special is that they are designed and delivered by local communities, celebrating their own unique and valued cultures and traditions, and also what Scotland means for them as their home. From torchlight processions to multicultural events, from music concerts to theatre, from crafts to cinema screenings, this year's St Andrew's Day celebration offers something for everyone, bringing people and communities together and demonstrating the positive plurality of modern Scotland. Because, Presiding Officer, in these times of flux and challenge, it's important to emphasise that Scotland's national identity is set within our internationalist ethos and traditions. Our sense of ourselves as Scots and the nation of Scotland is, and long has been, bound up and intertwined with a long-held wider identity as a progressive European partner and good global citizenship. And so, on our National Day, on Saturday, the 30th of November, let's celebrate and come together, looking outward to the world and never inwards. Let's celebrate as part of the international Fair Saturday movement, ready to warmly welcome those from around the world who come to celebrate St Andrew's Day and the wider winter festivals, be that Hogmanay or Burns Night. And I very much hope, to answer Emma Harper, to attend the Big Burns Supper this year, and look forward to being there with you. On the 30th of November, on Saturday, we will see the biggest celebration of St Andrew's Day in recent times. It's going to be a great day, and for members in the Parliament and our activists, perhaps a welcome break from general election campaigning as part of the day. It will be a day to celebrate Scotland and our unique, evolving cultural diversity. It will be a day to think of others and a day to be kind through one kind act. And I hope it will be a day where members will support me in warmly inviting the people of Scotland and our friends across the UK, Europe and the world to join in the celebration. So, to close, Presiding Officer, in this challenging political climate, on Saturday, let's focus on building bridges through culture and art and communities coming together. Let's join together, let's make a positive difference together, and let's enjoy the celebrations of St Andrew's Day together. Thank you.
That concludes the debate, and the meeting is suspended until 2 o'clock.